Hi guys, thanks for joining me on what is now episode 4 of Build to Scale, which is a series that we create for plumbing and heating business owners to help them grow an asset of their business. So episode 4 is all about how to build a high converting website that's going to transform your business. So what we're going to talk about today is how just small improvements to your website can make a massive difference to the revenue that your business generates every year. And as you can see there, potentially your website could be costing you £27,000 a year on average. So we're going to dive into this episode. This is one of my favorites. As a web designer myself at heart, that's where I cut my teeth in marketing, designing websites. This is something that's really close to my heart. So we're going to dive straight in and look at some numbers first. So around 87% of UK consumers search online before calling a tradesperson. They do their research online before they pick up the phone. And it's no surprise that the ones that aren't going to get the call, aren't going to be in the mix, don't actually have an effective website. And that's around 34%. So that's quite high. That's about a third of trades businesses don't have an effective website. And that's where the gap is. That's where your 27,000 in extra revenue could be hiding. So we're just going to break some of the numbers down and just look a little closer at how we kind of get to that figure. And this is just an average, by the way. It could be a lot more or it could be a lot less. But the average website, certainly for tradespeople, if it's reasonably well optimized in Google, it's going to get between around about 500 visitors a month, and at a 2% conversion rate, which is just below probably the average across the board. This is across their entire websites. This isn't just individual pages. This is across the website. Roughly 10 inquiries, an inquiry every few days. Just increasing that conversion rate a little bit to 5% gets you an extra 15 inquiries a month. Now, if you break that down at the average invoice value across boiler servicing, boiler repair, boiler installation, let's say your average invoice value is £300, there's potentially £27,000 leaking out of your business. So what do we need to do about it? Well, we need to build a better website, and a website that as soon as somebody looks at it, it just builds trust and credibility with them. And I'm going to go through some ideas with you in a second, but it takes a microsecond for people to judge your business. 75% judge your credibility purely by your website design. And if the design is not strong enough, then you're going to lose them. Dated, cluttered sites means the client is just, the customer is just going to walk away, go to the next listing on Google, and not even call your business. So you've got a very small amount of time to make a big impression. So what do? How do you create a website that is a conversion engine for your business? Well, there's 6 fundamentals that I would say are very important for your website to be able to convey trust and credibility. The first one is have some personality on your website. So pictures of you and your team, a little bit of the story of the business. Don't go too heavy on that because people won't read lots of information, but just have a little bit of information about why you started the business, when you started the business, what it's about, why it's important to you, what your values are as a business. And that's going to go a long way to injecting some of your personality into the business. Number 2, the next thing is lots of proof. So we want to see lots of 5-star reviews and testimonials and case studies of how you've helped your businesses. That's very, very important for building trust. The next one, easy calls to action. CTA stands for call to action. And a call to action will be a button, or it might be a link, or it might be a phone number. But make sure you've got lots of calls to action throughout your pages, not just one at the top and one at the bottom, but ones on each section as you scroll down the page. The next one is have dedicated pages for your key services. So a page on your key service, so let's say boiler installation, should talk about all your boiler installation services, any partnerships you've got with manufacturers or suppliers, reviews from customers that have had installations from you, photographs of you installing boilers. That just instantly generates a lot of trust and a lot of credibility. Another one, which is really, really important, and it's important for a number of reasons, and that's to have pricing on your website. Pricing is so important because customers want to be able to self-serve. They don't want to sit on the phone and have to listen to lots of options and discuss lots of options. They want an idea of pricing before they call a business. That's so important. And it's not just for humans anymore. AI agents, which are searching on behalf of people in ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, all of these new fancy AI tools. One of the things they're looking for is transparency and trust, and having pricing on your website is a great way of building out that trust. And the final one is some way that they can self-service, and that will range from being able to request a convenient time to have a boiler service, or actually book and pay and schedule their boiler service on the website. It can be your 24/7 salesperson. It really can. So if you set this up well, and there's lots of integrations with, Tradeify, ServiceMate, all these sort of tools that allow you to inject a degree of self-service into your website are really, really important. And that is all going to go towards helping you improve your website conversion rate, which is what this is all about. If you get 100 clicks to your website and you've got a 1% conversion rate, you're only getting one call. If you have a 10, 15, or 20% conversion rate, just imagine what that's going to do to your business. The average consumer spends 65 minutes researching before they actually pick up the phone, especially for high ticket priced installations and products and services. So they might not spend that amount of time if they're looking for an emergency plumber, but if they're looking to get a £3,000 combi boiler installed in their home, they're going to spend a little bit of time doing research. And certain key pages just instantly convey trust to the customer. And one of the most overlooked pages is the Meet the Team page, because that instantly develops trust. And that trust is so, so important because they can see that you're a real team, that you've got staff, that you've got backup, that you've got a big team behind you. And even if you don't have a big team, having 3 or 4 people that help you run the business on your website, it might be a partner, it might be a family member, but it's really, really important that you have a Meet the Team page, because that is one of the key pages that people look at when they're doing research on a business. The next thing I want to talk about is how you position your business. And positioning is a marketing term, but it basically means how you want customers to think of your business, what you want them to think about when they think of your business or when they see your business. How do you want them to feel when they see your branding and your website? And there's a number of things here. So your positioning and how you position and how you create your messaging and visually how you portray your website really is the difference between whether you're seen as something that's at the cheaper end of the market or the premium end of the market. And if you invest time, money, and effort to grow a really good trust building website, you're going to position yourself much higher up in the market, and you're going to get leads and you're going to attract clients that have got money to spend. You're not going to be feeding at the bottom end of the market. So it's really important that you set out very clearly from the start when you're developing a new website exactly where you want to be on that scale between, cheap and vague and quality and trust. And that's so important. Here's a bit of a reality check for you. Most of your visits is probably actually no surprise, because we've had mobile phones and smartphones for nearly 20 years, but nearly 80% of your traffic is going to come to your website from a mobile phone. So it's no brand new news these days that you need to check your website on your mobile phone, because nearly 80% are going to visit it first. They might end up coming back to your website on a laptop or a tablet, but they will visit your website on their mobile phone. And if your website takes ages to load, if it takes more than 3 or 4 seconds to load, you're going to lose half of those people instantly, because they're not going to hang around waiting for your website to load. And make sure, big tip here, make sure your phone number is in the first portion of the page when they land on your website, and it's tappable with a thumb. I've got a big fat thumb here, so you need a big button to be able to tap it and call instantly. And then we're going to wrap up in a moment, but just before we wrap up, I want to talk to you about this very important development that's happening right now, which is the difference between a human searching and an AI agent searching. So we've had humans doing search online for 20 years with Google. We know how that works. We know what attracts a human to a website. You know, pricing, visually attractive, clear, easy to use, easy to navigate, quick loading, all of those things are really important. But now we've got to develop websites for AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot. All of these tools are now being sent on research missions by humans to go and look and find the most credible, the most trustworthy supplier to fix their particular problem. So your website needs to be very specific, very clear, helpful. It needs to have knowledge on there about your products and services. It needs to have credibility and trust building things like accreditations, any awards that you've won, reviews out there, and pricing. And that's why pricing is so important. Your takeaway today, what I want you to think about is just doing a very quick website audit on your own website. So the first one is tap to call. Do you have a call number that's instantly tappable on a mobile phone? Does it take longer than 3 seconds to load? Do you have reviews on your website? Are you using real photos of you and your team, or are you defaulting for the easy option, which is stock photography? And that is a big turnoff. Number 5, have you got lots of calls to action? Have you got calls to action above the fold? Get a quote, call us. Number 6, do you have dedicated pages for your services? So not one page that has all your services on it, but dedicated pages for all of your services. Is there a video on your website? Video is great to convey trust and credibility and personality. In a world now that is leaning more towards AI, video is so important, and we actually include video in our booked solid package because we passionately believe that video really is a big way to differentiate your business. And is it secure? So when you visit your website in your browser, does it have a little padlock item so you can see it? And this is proof that just applying these principles really does work. This is one of the guys that we work with over the last few years. He's seen his revenue grow from just under $250,000 to over 1.3 million in the last few years. He gets around about 13 to 1400 leads every year, a mixture of paid leads, organic leads. His average cost per lead is around about £22, and he's got a conversion rate that fluctuates between 13 to 15% depending on the page. So very good conversion rate, very good cost per lead, and leads almost on autopilot. So that's it for this week. We try and keep these short and snappy. There's a lot of information in there, so you can go back and watch it. You can watch the replay on our YouTube channel. Next week, we're going to be looking at how to stop you being the bottleneck in the business. So we're going to be talking processes, systems, tools to help you be more efficient. And finally, if you do want to have a chat with me and have an understanding of where your business is and where it can get to, you can book a free 10-minute growth audit, and we'll have a chat on the phone at a time that's convenient to you. There'll be a link where you can book on, and we can have a call and see about how we can help you grow. But that's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. I hope there's some nuggets in there that you can apply to your business, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.